But we really think the experience is the difference. And when people are happy with the experience, that's something that stays with you. The results come and go, right? The new is only new for so long, but the experience and what they remember about you stays forever.
Hello, and welcome to the Palm Beach County Living Podcast. Here we talk about all the amazing people, events, businesses, and everything that makes Palm Beach County, Florida, such a fantastic place to live. As a local real estate agent, my clients always ask me about the best restaurants, events, jobs, and people here. So I developed this show to help you get a feel for all of the best that the Palm Beaches has to offer. With that being said, let's start the show right now. I'm obviously very excited to talk to you today because, as I understand, you own a kitchen remodeling and painting business in Palm Beach County. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about yourself and exactly what you do.
Yeah, great. I'm actually an owner of a company called SprayNet. I'm
Okay.
a franchise owner, and basically we custom uh, finish your kitchen cabinets. So that's our main focus. So we come in and take a look at people's kitchen cabinets when they're not looking to kind of take everything
Hmm.
apart and put everything back together. And they say, "Look, we're looking for a brand new look. I don't need a new footprint." So what we
Okay.
do is we have an actual process that takes these cabinets and brings them back to a factory finish at the color that you're looking for. Change
Hmm.
out the handles and do all of that great stuff. And it's actually turned into a lot more than that now. So where now we're actually doing basically anything a paintbrush can touch, and also countertops and things like that with our partners. Because once you see that, you can actually transform an entire house with just a few small aspects. It's gotten pretty exciting. So yep, and we've been doing that now. We started this a little over a year ago, but spraying it's been around a long time, and really excited about what we've been able to do this year.
Okay, so that really gets me thinking about stuff around my house, obviously. So when you say countertops, can that be like bathroom countertops and as well, not just kitchen?
Yeah, basically anything in the house. So now we've become basically a full residential service. So I call us a home services business, and we come in and take a look at everything you're looking to update, and that's our goal. Our goal is to update everything in your house that we can do that doesn't require renovations. So if you're looking to change footprints, bring down cabinets, change knockout walls, and do all that stuff, I've got some great people that
Okay.
do that. But that is not our expertise. Our expertise is to say it's all here. Is there a way that we can refresh this and make it look brand new? And the answer is yes.
Okay. Fascinating. So of course I have to ask more as I'm learning here from you. Does that include like shower walls or floors and stuff?
As a matter of fact, in Wellington, we're just finishing up a great project where it started as, can you come in and take a look at our kitchen? So we're actually redoing the kitchen. We put in all new countertops, replaced their entire island. We're putting seating underneath a bay window so that they can have seating for their dining room table. We actually now have done their Jack and Jill bathroom where they
Mm.
completely redid their kids' bathroom for them and gave them a nice luxury feel. And also we're working on their master bathroom now so we can update it, make it new. So it started as, hey, I think we need some new color in our kitchen. The kitchen's too dark. To, you can do all of that for this much, and the answer is yes. The funny thing was they said, wow, you're the first person I've seen that can actually do what I see on HGTV, where they do something for so
Yeah.
inexpensive, and then we get it out here and it's double what they cost.
Mm.
So we're able to surprise some people.
That's so great. So what got you interested in this business?
uh, our own experience. So I've been in corporate America for 25 years and had a wonderful experience in working with big corporations and helping them grow their sales organization. But now that my kids are older, I have one kid that just graduated University of Florida and is now a full-time worker. She's now a full adult, and I have a son who's a sophomore there. My wife and I stepped back and said, what could we do locally where I'm not on a plane 3 weeks a month,
Mm.
like I've done for our entire marriage almost of
Mhm.
25 years. And so we looked at home services because we've lived in our house now for 21 years. We've raised our kids in this house, and we've had to update it twice, right? So you
Mhm.
look at the styles and the things that you like, and we've done it twice, and we remember that it was not always a pleasant experience. The results came out okay, but the process of doing it, getting people to show up when they say they're going to show up, do what they say they're going to do, And then one of us at some point trying to coordinate three different types of companies working on one thing. We said, well, that's a headache. I bet we can do something about that. And so her brother-in-law, my wife and co-owner of the business, is a contractor for 30 years in Juno Beach. And we were talking to him about it. I said, look, I don't want to be a contractor. That's not my thing. But what I do want to do is help people do what we've done. Is we love our home, but we've always want to continue to update it. And so we just decided, well, then let's do that. Let's bring people an experience that they can really do what they want to do and not have to worry about, I'm not going to make this decision because it's such a pain in the neck to
Mm.
get done. And we try to make it as smooth as possible. And I think that's why we've been able to continually be busy throughout the year.
That sounds fascinating. And of course, I have to know so much more about everything that you do. I'm sure that my husband's not going to be impressed with that. But oh, so many questions. So, what exactly is SprayNet? Is the name of the company, but is this a product or exactly what is SprayNet?
Yeah. So Spring was actually started in Canada. And it was a product where, up there, the elements are crazy, right? It gets really, really cold. But also, what people don't realize is there's parts of Canada that have a higher UV index and salt ratio than Florida does.
Oh, wow.
So they have to actually prepare their homes for the worst of the worst. And so what they decided to do after being around for many years is decided, well, let's bring this product to the U.S. And so again, I worked in corporate America for a while, so I always had analysts, tell me about what's the next great things coming out, and I've taken a look, and when I found SprayNet entering the market, the product actually matches Florida perfectly. It's made for our humidity. It's made for our salt. It's made for our UV index. It's made for all of those things. And so it just made sense for me to look to say, well, that doesn't even exist in Florida.
Hmm.
Yes, we have a lot of paint companies and they all go to Home Depot or Sherwin Williams and all of those things and they can get the product. But SprayNet had a patented process that they go through to prepare the surface and then also the product that they have is made to actually adhere. So they're a custom chemistry company, not just a paint company. And so that to me was very interesting because the chemistry together with the patented process is what makes our product and our service different and is what makes it give it a 15-year warranty when we do it. So I just kind of leaned in a little bit more, learned a little bit more about that, and my big thing was, would I buy this myself? Right,
Hmm.
that's what I was looking for. I'm not looking for the next company because there's a lot of companies that would probably do well. What I'm looking for is something that I would buy myself and put in my home, and also sell to my family, and that's what SprayNet brought to me. So they've got a wonderful background. They're environmentally friendly. Everything's water based. They really have a really good approach to this business, and it's also kind of matched my kind of my mathematic mind to where they calculate everything perfect, so we're not overbuying supplies and things like that. So it just kind of fell in our wheelhouse, and together we made that decision that hey, I think Palm Beach County would really like this product.
So, as you're speaking, then now I'm thinking, okay, so this is obviously not just interior, this is exterior as well.
It is. It is. So we have one of the thickest elastomeric paints on the market, which as you know, most houses are stucco here.
Yeah.
So that's the other process is we do the exterior and the interior home. Our job is to come in and take a home like mine that's 20 years old and say, what can we do to make this look like they just built it yesterday? Everything outside of the roof, right? So we're not going to change your roof, but I can change the color. I can make it look brand new. I can put different types of accents around your house. All the detail that people might have on the outside of their house, we have a process for that. And every surface. I mean, we even have clients who have white windows that say, I can't afford to actually replace all my windows, but right now the black windows are what's in style because that's the new modern look. Well,
Hmm.
we have a paint and a process specifically for windows where I can make your windows look brand new and bring them from white to black or vice versa from black to white. So yeah, it's been interesting, and again, they're very focused on the material in which they're surfacing, not just hey, are we going to throw a good paint product out there?
Okay, so that makes me now think my sliding glass doors. I can't wait because, like, I need to get my sliding glass doors done because the paint is faded, obviously, from the sun.
Yep.
Because it's facing, I have one facing the east and the north, but, um, mm,
Yeah,
wow,
we have
the
the
wheels are
twin
turning.
We have a home we're going to be doing on Singer Island. They're in one of those high rises, and same exact thing. They have these impact rated
Mhm.
sliders that are right there on
Yeah.
the ocean, but they don't like the color, and the buildings aren't new, so the salt has really done quite a number on
Yeah.
them. So we're going to come refresh all their sliders and their windows, make them look brand new, bring them from white to black, and that's really all that they were looking for in that, and we're happy to do it.
It's awesome. Okay. So, um, obviously, working with the public and working in corporate America, you obviously have to work with the public, work with a lot of people. So, I mean, are there times when, people might ask for something that you just can't do? Or how do you handle people that are very stuck in their ways and they're like, no, no, it has to be like this has to be done this way? I mean, how do you handle situations like that?
Yeah, well, there's a couple ways. One, I will always say this about any business: not everybody's our perfect client, right? And that's just the case. And there's a few reasons for that. It's not just the product itself, but also the environment in which my employees will be working in, right?
Mhm.
I have really great employees, and I want them to love what they do, and they have to be in other people's homes a lot. So we need that environment there as well. But look, everybody's got different tastes, and we're happy to talk about here's the trends that we're doing now. Here's examples of the things that we've been doing lately. If you're looking for ideas, if you're looking for our opinions, I will absolutely give you one. If you want design advice, my wife is perfect at that. She sees things I don't see, so she can actually give that to you. But at the end of the day, we'll collaborate. And if there's something that you want done that we can do, even though we may not think it will look great, we will go ahead and do it for you, because that's your vision. And a couple of times, quite frankly, and I'll tell you, there was one in Palm Beach, actually, in the City Place Center, and they
Mm,
wanted this different color with some different types of handles on their cabinets. And I kind of said, I'm not sure I see it, and I just want to be honest with you. I'm not so sure that that's going to look the way you want it to look. And we went back and forth and went and did some visualization, because we do have a visualizer where I can throw some paint on your own kitchen and make it look like that on the computer. But when we were done, it looked beautiful. And I had to look at them and say, "You were right. It looked absolutely fantastic. Your vision was right." And so we'll do the work if it's something that we can do and we know we can deliver quality. But we'll definitely give our advice, or even some pushback if we think that it's there. Because the last thing I want somebody to do is say, "Oh, why didn't you tell me you didn't think that would look good?" Well,
mhm.
I would never do that.
Okay, great. So, what's different from obviously being a business owner? Like, what challenges have you faced being a business owner?
Well, I think the challenge is, and this is any business now, is really just finding the right employees that love to do what they do. And that's I used to be able to do it in the business to business world, and so
Mhm.
it was one thing to find a sales professional with this background. I can relate to them and I can know. And now I'm looking at people who are tradesmen, right? They might not have gone to college for 8 years. They might not have 15 years of experience, but here's what I'm finding: they want exactly the same thing we all want. They want a quality place to work. They want to be creative. They want to be proud of the work that they do. And they want an environment that appreciates the work that they do. And
Mm,
so, although it was a transition for me to realize, okay, so how do I go find these people? Because I don't have a network of tradespeople. But once I got in and realized, no, it's still the same human spirit. We all want the same things. And if I can create that environment for those folks, I now have employees that want to work for me and want to
mhm,
go do work for us, as opposed to, hey, it's another job. And as that job happens, so we don't really have turnover, because I understand what they're trying to accomplish, and I make sure that their goals as employees train at Palm Beach, their goals are my goals. And so as we grow together. And so it's been an interesting transition, because I
mhm,
did think that would be, wow, what a crazy difference. But it's only a crazy difference in how you find them and approach them. But we all have the same wants and needs, and the things in our careers that we want to do. And so I was pleasantly surprised at that.
I definitely see where you're coming. I know. I feel like no matter what I did, like even if I was going to clean bathrooms, I want it to be the best cleaned bathroom ever. Like it doesn't matter. Like I want, you know, you have to have the work ethic behind it. No matter what you do, whether you're a CEO or you're the janitor, you still have to take pride in your work. You still have to have the same vision and values. to want to do your job well. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think to your point, it's very universal. So I know that you said you work with your wife.
I
How
do.
is that? I mean, are you around each other 24/7? You have, I know you said she does more of like the interior decorating. How do you deal, or I shouldn't say how you deal. How do
No,
you
that's a deal.
enjoy?
No, that's a safe way to put it. So
Okay.
the good news about us is one, we're both good at different things. So
Mhm,
my wife by day, so she does have another job as well. She
mhm.
teaches foster kids in the school system.
Oh.
So she works for a nonprofit, and she goes in and she has all her foster kids. She goes in during the week, pulls them out during their specials, gets them up on reading and writing, helps them outside of school. And her organization, Best Foot Forward, actually takes them from kindergarten all the way through college, and their graduation rate is amazing. So she's blessed to do something that really makes a difference and helps her a lot. But I'm blessed to have her because I am not Mr. Social Media. I'm not good at that stuff, and she is. So she does all of our social media, our Facebook pages, our posts, and all of those things. The befores and after pictures telling me the angles that we took were no good. Go back and get them better. So we can do it correctly. So she does that, and then, like I said, um, you know, I don't have the vision to see something that's not there. So for example, we have a client that we're talking to that we're probably going to be doing some work for, and she wants to take in a whole area of her kitchen and create a coffee bar. She's actually from France and she loves her coffee.
Okay.
And she says, I want a coffee bar here, which means I have to move the fridge over here. And I looked at her and I said, I got to tell you, um, I can't help you with that. So let me get my wife out here together. And when they just sat there and they both saw exactly what they each were
Mhm,
looking for. And so again, that's the great part about working together is we don't have the same strengths. Uh,
mhm,
recognize that. I'm the
mhm.
numbers guy. I'm that type of person. She doesn't want to deal with any of that nonsense, and I don't blame her. Um, but the other stuff that I'm not good at, she handles. So it's really been a good partnership.
That's awesome. That's so great. So I see that you've also worked with several mental and behavioral health organizations. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, my past, as I mentioned, I was with ADP for 18 years in their sales organization, and then I moved into a couple of different places where I helped them build out their sales model and their sales approach. And one of them was in mental and behavior health. And I'll tell you, it's a fantastic industry to work in, not just because of the need and the growing need and the wonderful way that the stigma's finally starting to leave. That hey, we all have mental and behavioral needs.
Mhm.
We all have different
Sure.
types of things going on. But it also allowed me to understand people more as well. So it was in a business that was very rewarding, but it also gave me the idea of understanding like, hey, people in the workplace are also going through these same things. So we always think about, hey, go home to your family, give you time, but what's happening at work? What could be going through their head at work? And so I think that allows me to kind of hear, especially when there's friction going on at a client's house, for example, where they say, hey, this isn't working out for me, and I can go and I can say, well, let's find out what's going on. And sometimes it's just something that's happening in a day for one of those two people, and it absolutely gets fixed right away. And it's not something that the reaction has to be like, oh my gosh, I can't do this here. We got
Mhm.
to go. And I have one of those where we had a situation where we had a client who said, hey, I don't like anything that's going on in the house. I want to stop. And so our employee didn't know what to do. I don't even know what to do. But once I found out, I talked to the client. We sat down, and it really was just there's a bad day going on,
Sure.
and it actually had nothing to do with those folks that were sitting there doing the work. It just happened to be that was the compounded factor that.
Mhm.
And when the client realized, like, we understand that, hey, well, why don't we stop for a day? Like, you need your time here.
Mhm.
We can stop for a day. Our schedule is your schedule. And so that's not probably a decision I could have made before working in that industry where I could find out,
Mhm.
well, no, when I find out it's not really either of the people, it's the situation or things that are going on.
Yeah.
It made those scenarios a heck of a lot better. And at the end of it, we get a thank you from a client because we recognized, hey, you know what? I just needed a break from all of this craziness going in my house because it's your sanctuary, right? It's your
Yeah.
place to get away. And when you go in and everything's going on in your house and you just had a horrible day, the last thing you want is people running around your house with noise all that other stuff. So I think it's helped a great amount because it just allows us to say, hey, we're on a time schedule for all of our jobs, but our time schedule is our client's time schedule. It's not our time schedule.
Mm.
And we're okay with extending that if it needs to be so that they can have their time and their peace to kind of recoup from their day because everybody works their tails off every day. And sometimes it's just, hey, I just need a day of a break. And that's perfectly okay.
It's amazing. I can tell you're very people focused. So
But
that's
I think you have to be, at the end of the day, a lot of people do a lot of great work. But we really think the experience is the difference. And when people are happy with the experience, that's something that stays with you. The results come and go, right? The new is only new for so long, but the experience and what they remember about you stays forever. And so
Mhm.
when they need something in the future, even if it's something you don't do, I'm surprised at how many people will call me and say, I know you don't do this, but do you know someone who does? Right? Because
Mhm.
they know
Yeah.
maybe it'll be something similar. And I think that's just as important as any results you're going to give on a job.
Mhm. Wow. I wish I would have known you, 3 or 4 years earlier when we first started our remodel, because that was fun. Uh, so it's nice to know that there's good people, because I think sometimes Florida might have a bad reputation
Mhm.
when it comes to dealing with, people who come in and service whatever, whether it's a contractor, whether it's a plumber, electrician, whatever it is, you know, there you hear, horror stories all the time about, people walking away or, not finishing or doing, poor work. So it's refreshing to talk to someone who seems so invested. So
Awesome. I
that's
appreciate that.
yeah. So I have, of course, have to ask you about your baseball career because I know you played for the Houston Astros, and I have a friend who would be freaking out right now who lives in Houston and is a huge Astros fan. If she knew I was talking to you right now. So tell me a little bit about your baseball career.
Sure. Well, you can tell your friend if I signed a card for them, they could sell it for a penny. But I will tell you, I'm a longtime Wellington resident. So I grew up.
Okay.
I went to Wellington Elementary and H.L. Johnson. Went to
Hmm.
Crestwood Middle School. I went to Wellington High School. So
Okay.
I played baseball throughout here and continued on in college. And yeah, so I was drafted by the Houston Astros and had a wonderful opportunity to spend a little bit of time playing baseball, and it was an amazing experience that I'd never give back. One thing I tell people in sports, because I try to coach now as well. I helped out at the pitching at Palm Beach Central this year, just because they needed some help and I happened to be available. But the key is I think everybody, especially when you look at baseball specifically, I kind of lean towards that. Is baseball to me is life. It teaches you a lot about life, especially when you go in and now you're competing against the best baseball players of the country, right? So all of a sudden you go from high school and it's just Palm Beach County, but now you're
Mhm.
competing against the best ones everywhere. And you learn a lot of life lessons. You learn that you're not the best at everything. Learn that is what you thought was a good work ethic may or may not be. You learn
Mhm.
how to win. You learn how to lose. And I believe that baseball was a huge part of any success I've had in any job from the very beginning. My wife and I both don't come from big backgrounds, right? My dad was a car salesman and a mechanic, and my mom was a bank teller, and Nina's mom was a teacher. And so, we remember, hey, here's what you have to do. It's not just going to come easy for you. And so I always tell people, like, the best thing I can tell you about baseball, yeah, there's some cool stories. I can tell you about Alex Rodriguez popping up to me when I was pitching, and our catcher not being able to look up very long. He got a kink in his neck because the ball was so high that he had to look back down. And so there's some really cool stories there. But I will tell you that the best memories are lessons learned, and I think that's been a big piece. And so anybody who's interested in sports or their kids in sports, just focus on what do you have to do to become better, not how good are you.
Mm.
Because that's something that's going to take you on well beyond your baseball years or your baseball career.
Wow. Okay, so with all that being said, do you currently have a favorite team or a favorite player?
Yes, I am a diehard Atlanta Braves fan.
Okay.
When I was again back way back when, still out here in Wellington, the Atlanta Braves used to spring train here in West Palm Beach, so that was our team. We didn't have any Miami Marlins, and I was lucky enough to play on a summer league team that always started at the end of spring training. So we were on the field at Municipal Stadium with a
Mhm.
lot of these guys that were the Braves, and so I got to see what they did and look up to those guys like Greg Maddox and people like that. So um, that was fantastic. My favorite player now, my ex favorite player is Nolan Ryan because that's who I
Okay.
was going to be, and I actually named my son Nolan Ryan Anschuetz. So
Oh.
he took on his name because he was just not only a great player, but he was a big family man, a father. He was a businessman. He was able to find all three. And when you have somebody who does that much, and their kids say, "My hero is my dad," that's a pretty good guy to look after. So Nolan Ryan was my favorite, but now my favorite guy is Trey Turner. He's a local kid. I was lucky enough to be one of his coaches when he was 18 here, coaching in high school, and he's just grown on to be one of the best baseball players in the major leagues. But he's still the great kid that he
Mhm.
was back then. And that's not easy to say. So I am a huge Trey Turner fan. Anywhere he goes, wherever he's playing, I will be rooting for him for the rest of his career.
Hmm. I didn't realize, like, I knew that at Roger Dean Stadium, they do practices for different teams there, but I didn't realize there was one off of Haverhill, and that's local because my friend came down recently to watch the Astros practice there.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, where's this been?" I had no idea. Do you also go there and watch practices?
Absolutely. So spring training. There's the Houston Astros and the Washington Nationals. So
Mhm.
it's a great place to watch a game. It's really, I think Palm Beach County has done a really good job of bringing these sports here to where, especially our kids, like, they be able to go watch how they practice, what they work on, just spring training, and not have to go spend thousands of dollars to take a family down to see a professional game. You can actually watch them in spring training, and it's just
Yeah,
an amazing experience. And they've done a great job. The stadium is beautiful. There's not a bad seat in the house, so yeah, I love it there.
that's awesome. Okay, so I have to ask you, so you said that you grew up in Florida, obviously in Wellington. Do you notice any large changes from when you were growing up, to now with your how many children do you have? I'm sorry.
I have 2 children, 2
Okay.
amazing children, but
Okay.
it's drastically different. When my
Okay.
parents moved out, we basically started in Royal Palm Beach. So if you went out
Mhm.
west to 441, it became dirt roads, and
Yes.
there's a neighborhood called the Willows, and my parents built a house in the Willows, and that's where we started. So the growth has been tremendous. The
Mhm.
one thing I will tell you that I think is really impressive is the wonderful equestrian community we have out here as
Mm.
well. It's
Mhm.
really expanded to the point of it is, a worldwide known place, but it's accessible to everybody in the
Mhm.
community. So it's not
Mhm.
like you have to go spend, again, like I was mentioning, to go watch a baseball game. It's a lot of money to take a family down to watch a baseball game,
Yes.
but you
Yeah.
can go watch world class Olympic level jumpers, and you can go watch world class polo, and you can actually bring your family there and see this right here in our own community. And it's really great what they've done and to expand that and really make it something that everybody can be a part of. Even if I've never owned a horse in my entire life,
Mhm.
it makes me really interested in what they do. So it's changed a lot. Lots of stuff out here. My goal is to hope it still keeps a lot of the preserves, and we keep the
Mhm.
greenery around us, so we
Mhm.
don't become a big concrete jungle. But we got a lot of great people here, and I'm really happy with the community. The schools have all
Mm.
been great and fantastic.
Mhm.
So we're doing something right out here, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm just happy to be here.
Okay, so now I have to ask you some fun questions.
Okay.
So if there was one famous person or public figure or celebrity that you could meet dead or alive, who would it be and why?
It would definitely be Nolan Ryan, and I mentioned it earlier. I'd love to just sit down and say, "How did you do it, and how do you continue to do it?"
Mhm.
You know, the work ethic, I think, most of us can relate, is we all want to work really hard, but man, does it get tiring. It gets tiring mentally and physically, and how do you keep going? while also keeping that focus on the most important thing, and that's your family. And
Mm.
so, that's the type of stuff I'd love to just sit down and pick his brain at. I might be a little too long and past the in with my kids being getting out of the house already. But that type of information to compare what I've done and what I could have done, and then also share that information with other people. He'd just be a really, really interesting person, I think, to sit down and talk to.
Okay. So, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
That one's scary because I would just like to be able to teleport, right? Because I don't like
Okay.
flying. I'm deathly afraid of heights. So when people say I'd love to be able to fly, I do not. I don't want
Uh-huh.
to be more than a story above.
Yeah.
I live in a
Mhm.
one-story house.
Yep.
Um, but there's so many amazing places in this world to see, and my wife and I have had the pleasure of being able to travel and see some of those. And if we could just, if time wasn't an issue, we can just say, "Hey, let's be in Morocco this weekend and
Mm.
experience the
Mhm.
culture of Morocco and the people there." I think that would be the superpower I'd want because there's just so much to learn from things outside of us. Um,
Mhm.
but time is what makes it so difficult to do. We're
Mhm.
not all independently wealthy where we can just go spend 4 months in another country and engulf ourselves in their culture. But
Mhm.
man, if I could say, hey, Friday's over for the next 3 days, I'm in this culture and I'm fully engulfed and learning about it. I think that's probably where I'd like to be.
So I can also sympathize with the heights and the plains. I too have that um, as a challenge for myself. So what with I don't want to say limitations, but what is the most adventurous thing that you've done?
We actually did a trip to Alaska. So I would say the reason it was adventurous is because it was a last minute thing. We were called by Royal Caribbean. I actually happened to have a friend. So again, when you create a great network of people and they can think about
Yes.
you, this is what happened. So Royal Caribbean was filming all of their excursions for all their Alaska cruises, and the family that was supposed to go had to back out because of a major illness. And so my wife and myself were on vacation with our kids, and we got a call and they said, "Hey, I didn't ask you first, but I shared your family profile with my cousin who does this. And in 2 weeks, would you be able to go to Alaska and do all of the excursions and be the Royal Caribbean family?" And so we were able to go there, land helicopters on glaciers, do dog mushing and do all the things that you see in the videos. And I say that because now if you are on Royal Caribbean and you look at the videos, that's me and my family on those videos doing that. So I would say that was the most adventurous thing because I didn't have to create it. And it's like, hey,
Mhm.
by the way, it's really cold. You're gonna put on this wetsuit and you guys are gonna go whitewater rafting and we're gonna
Ah,
film you. And, my first choice would not be, well, I don't know if I want to be that cold. And it was fantastic. It was amazing. And I didn't have to think about it. And so I would say that was probably the most I've done personally.
wow. I mean, what an experience. That's so
It really
amazing. Jeez. Okay. So then that leads me up to the question, if you could you talked about teleporting and time travel, but if you could, visit a certain era in time, is there one that you would like and why?
Yeah, I've always felt like I've belong in the 20s or 30s.
Okay.
I love that era. If I see TV shows or movies that are in that era, I just love how people talked back then. Everybody was always buttoned up, and
Mhm.
it was polite. Everybody was polite to each other, and it just seemed like a great time to be there. So if I could take kind of all of the equalities we have today and move them back to the time set of the 20s and 30s, because I think
Mhm.
that'd be the only thing I wouldn't like is that there's definitely not a lot of equality there. But
Sure.
if I could take our qualities of today and put them back in a time set where everybody was always in their suit jackets, even if it was 110 degrees outside, I think that would be a
Mhm.
wonderful place to be.
I think it makes sense because I think baseball was pretty big back then as well.
Certainly was.
So that definitely makes sense. So I also have to ask too, being a local in Wellington, are there any restaurants that you like to visit? Do you have any favorites that you like? It doesn't have to be Wellington, Palm Beach County, anywhere.
Yeah, well, we do. We have our favorite one out in Wellington, which might surprise most people, but I love chicken wings and
Mm,
hurricanes on 441 in Lake Worth Road.
yes.
When we're
Yes.
just sitting around going, what should we
Mm,
go eat? Well, we
hmm
know we're going to go eat. We're going to get in the car. And we're
Yeah.
going to run up to the corner and go get some wings. And there's also a great little ribs place, Mississippi Sweets, that
Okay.
we like to go to as well. My wife will only eat my ribs or Mississippi sweet ribs. And so
Okay.
whenever she's got a hankering for ribs, we go to Mississippi Sweets.
I haven't been. I'll have to try it. I recently just tried this place in Gardens called Nev's Barbecue,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't eat ribs or anything, but I have to say, um, their sauce is good. Their food is good. I was pleasantly surprised because when you think barbecue, you don't automatically think Florida.
Hmm.
So I think they're few and far between of good barbecue places. So I'm definitely going to have to try Mississippi Sweets. That's
Great.
because I've been to Hurricanes. I love Hurricane. They have so many different sauces.
Yes,
So
they
good.
do. Yeah.
So good. Well, it was such a pleasure talking to you today. I feel like I could talk to you for like another 6 hours. Um, but I know, obviously, you're a very busy person, but it was such a great, time spent. And I learned so much from you. And thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed talking with you as well.
Okay. Well, I'm sure if if I can swing it with my husband, we'll be talking shortly.
Just tell him not to blame me. I didn't.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great rest of your day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye.